Ever get that feeling like, there's this book everyone and their mother seems to have read, but somehow you just haven't gotten around to it yet?
Definitely happens all the time.
Well, that's us today with Who Moved My Cheese. Ready to dive in.
Absolutely. A classic for a reason, right?
Right. Mice, little people, a maze, and cheese. At first glance, it sounds like something you'd read to your kids at bedtime.
Yeah.
But it's really a story about navigating the twists and turns of life.
Exactly how we react when our routines fall apart, when our own personal cheese disappears. Do we adapt or do we just get stuck?
And that is the question, isn't it? So we meet these characters, Sniff, Scurry, Hem and Haw.
2 mice, 2 little people.
2 mice, 2 little people. And right away, Johnson's setting us up for these different approaches to change.
Oh, absolutely. You've got Sniff and Scurry. They're driven by instinct. So when their cheese supply at Cheese Station C, it starts to dwindle. They don't overthink it.
You're like, all right, less cheese. Time to go find more.
Exactly. Just action, pure and simple. Whereas Hem and Haw, they've gotten comfortable. They've built this whole belief system around this Cheese Station C.
Having cheese makes you happy.
Yes. We've taken it to heart. But you know what they say about comfort zones?
No, not always a good thing.
They're rarely where the growth happens, and the book really doesn't shy away from that discomfort. When that cheese is gone, Hem and Haw, they are thrown into turmoil.
Denial, blame, bargaining. The whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah, they go through it all.
And it's so relatable, right?
It is.
We've all been there at some point. That moment when you realize something has to change, but the thought of it is just,
It's the resistance.
Okay.
We cling to what's familiar, even if it's no longer doing us any good.
Because change is scary. It's that fear of the unknown. But Johnson seems to be saying that clinging to the past, that's actually riskier than embracing the change.
Absolutely. He's saying if you're not moving forward, you risk becoming obsolete. You're just like those little people clinging to that empty cheese station.
And that's where I think the book really starts to get interesting.
It's like you're standing at a crossroads.
Yeah.
And deep down that old path.
Right.
Even though it's familiar, it's not going to get you where you need to go.
It's not the right one. And that's exactly what Haw starts dealing with, right? He's really the first of the little people to confront this need for change.
He has that moment, that self-awareness, where he's laughing at himself almost because he realizes he's stuck.
Totally.
He's repeating these same behaviors and expecting a different result.
The definition of insanity, right?
Exactly.
But for him, it's a light bulb moment.
Yes.
That's when he accepts that the cheese at Cheese Station C, it's gone. And no amount of wishing or hoping is going to bring it back.
And that's huge for all of us, too, to be able to recognize that when we're in that situation that's no longer serving us and to just let go.
Easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
So how does he actually motivate himself to leave that comfortable, even though it's empty, cheese station?
He starts visualizing those possibilities. He reminds himself there's a whole world of cheese out there, new experiences, and maybe even, a better version of himself.
He's choosing hope over fear at that point.
Exactly.
And that shift in perspective, that's got to be what gives him the energy to finally leave.
It is. And it's not just blindly running into this maze either. Remember, he leaves those messages on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
Those little nuggets of wisdom on the wall to kind of guide him along.
I love those messages. Things like smell the cheese. Often.
Yeah.
So, when it is getting old,
it's
such a simple but powerful idea.
It is, because it's about being aware of those little changes around us, whether it's our job, relationships, or even ourselves. We need to pay attention to the signs, those little smells that maybe it's time to adapt.
And then there's that. What would you do if you weren't afraid?
Ooh, yeah.
Gets me every time.
It's so easy to let fear stop us, right?
It is.
Just stay stuck even when we're unhappy.
Right.
That message, it's a call to action.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging our fears, but not letting them control us. So just imagine for a second what you would go after if fear wasn't holding you back.
Whoa. Okay, but it's not all sunshine and roses for Haw, right?
Right.
He has setbacks.
He does.
Dead ends.
Of course.
It's not a perfect journey.
Exactly. Change is hardly ever a straight line. There's going to be bumps, moments of doubt. But the thing is, those challenges, that's where we grow the most. It's so true. It's about embracing the ups and the downs and knowing that each experience, even the difficult ones, they're shaping us, teaching us, and in the end, leading us closer to our own new cheese. And he does eventually find it right, that new cheese. He does. He stumbles upon it at Cheese Station N. But it's more than just finding a new source of cheese.
It's got to be right.
Oh, yeah.
So what is it then?
It's about the transformation that happens along the way. How is like a totally different little person by the time he gets to Cheese Station N, more resilient, adaptable, open to new things.
So the new cheese isn't necessarily better than what he left behind. It's just different.
It's different, and it's his own growth that makes it better.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle change, who can let go of the old stuff and embrace what's new. But what about Hem?
Ooh.
Does Hem ever figure it out?
Well, that's kind of what the book leaves us with.
Okay.
Hem goes back to get him, even brings him back some of that new cheese.
Tries to share.
Oh, yeah. He's like, look what I found.
It's great. You got to try it.
But Hem's still hung up on the past, stuck in that resentment, and we all know what that leads to, right?
Not a happy place.
Yeah.
Because the past is the past.
Exactly.
All we can do is learn from it and move on.
And that's really what this book is all about. Who moved my cheese? It's like this call to action for everyone listening to be more like those mice.
Sniff and skirt.
Yeah. To be adaptable, embrace change, and just remember there's always new cheese out there if we're willing to look for it.
Love it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for everyone to think about. What cheese might you be holding on to a little too tightly? And what would it look like for you to let go, venture back into that maze, and be open to that new cheese in your own life?